Welcome to our limited scope representation ethics primer. My name is Megan Douglas. I am the program director at Arkansas Access to Justice. Normally, like I said, I'm the moderator for these, but I decided to do a limited scope representation seminar, not a seminar, a session for you guys. So before I go into the PowerPoint that I have here, I just want to reiterate that after the session, I'll email you a link to the attendance form. You'll be able to fill it out online and submit it directly on the app that I send you. Or if you prefer, you could just download it and send it from your own email. Just make sure you get it submitted by the 7th of August so you can receive CLE credit. At the end, there'll also be a survey. So if you could fill that out after the event here, that would be great. Like I said, I'll try to address questions. It's just me today. If I don't get to them, email me. And lastly, I'm not doing a poll today. I should have. If you do, I will say this, if you do limited scope representation fairly often, can you comment to me in the chat box and let me know and just sort of like tell me maybe what you do the most, like the one thing you do the most with it, and maybe something you're hoping to take away from this session today. Okay, so before I end that, let me put this in the chat box so everybody can see it, what I just said. I like to include that as well. Alrighty, so let's get started. Let me know again if you've ever done any limited scope representation, and you probably have once you hear me talk more about it here. So let's get into hold on. There we go. The introduction of what is unbundling, why does it matter, and who offers these services and to whom. I'm reading a comment over here. Barbara, I might have you come on and chat if you want to at the end. Uh, Barbara, one of the attorneys here, she does limited scope representation and e-filing orders of protection, petitions, and supporting documentation with um, ACADV nonprofit. So this is a coalition against domestic violence. Let me go back into here. So what unbundling is and is not. So I say unbundling. When I say unbundling, I also mean it is limited scope representation. Unbundling is just a short term. It's when the attorney and the client divide responsibility for case tasks. It's sort of, like an a la carte service. Task-based is the most common, like drafting a complaint or reviewing documents, versus issue-based, such as only doing custody issues, if you will. Um, Sometimes those cases can get a little bit more complex than what you can cover with limited scope. Document prep must always be paired with advice, such as, what the purpose of the document is, how you file it, service, and the next steps. I'll go a little bit more into that here in a bit. What it is not low bono. It is not pro bono. It could be. I mean, you could do that if you want to, but it does not have to be. It's not limited liability and it's not lower quality help. It is the same standard as full representation. It's just you're just doing a little piece of it. For those who might not know exactly what it is, you're still trying to grasp. I like to boil things down to really simple explanation to help people understand. So, one analogy I was thinking of, so I have a TV night with my dad every week. And if I stay past 10 o'clock at night, he has his YouTube time, which no, he's not on there watching conspiracy theories. So he is on there. He is obsessed with these vloggers who hike these really long trails in the United States, which I didn't realize we had so many. But he loves watching the ones where they go through the Rockies. I can't remember the name of that one. But I kept hearing, if I stay past 10, I am forced to watch this with him. And I kept hearing this term, trail angel. I was like, what is a trail angel? And they are these people, they are volunteers, which, like I said, If you do limited scope, you don't have to do it for free, but I'm digressing here. A trail angel will show up, you ask for their help. They'll bring you water, food supplies. If you need a ride somewhere, they'll come get you. They sort of come in and get you, help you on your trail that you're taking. So here's an example here. I'm saying that these attorneys who offer limited scope are like these trail angels. And so we have here Sally. She's going on the Grand Trail of Freedom. She wants a divorce. So this is Sally's trail, the whole legal trail. At the end is a complete divorce. She does all the service, filing, representation of herself. But these little spots along the way, she needs your help. So she'll call and get your help with document prep. You do the complaint for divorce, and, kind of guide her, and then she'll go and file on her own, do the service, handle everything. And then she decides, well, I'm really nervous about the hearing. Can you, give me some advice and coaching? So maybe she comes in for an hour and you help her out a bit, tell her, what to expect, what to take, all of that. And then she realizes, she goes back and she's thinking, well, I really would like you to review the divorce decree just to make sure everything's there, everything is how it should be. I put document prep on there that should say document review. So she comes back and you review her decree, make sure everything looks good. And then you send her along her way, and then she goes to hearing and everything works out great. So this is Sally's trail. She's doing it on her own. She's, this is her trek. But you're like this trail angel, like I said, who will pop in and can you see my mouse? Okay, perfect. You can pop in and help with these little things here. Okay. So why does it matter for access to justice in Arkansas? So this helps a lot of Arkansans who can't afford full service, which is a lot of people. Um, I had quite a few middle class, moderate income people. That was most of the people I helped with limited scope. It also reduces court backlogs, excuse me, court backlogs from underprepared, self-represented litigants. Some judges will have a pro se day, and it could take a while to get through. So it really helps to have people who are already prepared, who have been helped on the back end from an attorney when they come in. It helps the process go a little bit smoother. It is also a business opportunity. It's quite a big problem. There aren't enough attorneys in underserved rural areas. So this also provides an opportunity for you to offer services to those out in the more rural areas of the state. For instance, you could meet with them on Zoom. They could come to your office once and then you communicate by phone calls or Zoom, if you will. Um, because, like I said, I don't have the stats, but it's pretty bad actually. How many attorneys there are in rural areas? It's almost none. So this lets attorneys compete online with online legal services like LegalZoom, ChatGPT, using local knowledge. And that was another thing I was wondering because I haven't done this since AI came out, but I do wonder if people who are doing document reviews, if you're seeing a lot of people bringing in AI documents they had put together to have you review them. I'd be curious to know who's offering these services and to whom. So if you're an Arkansas attorney, you can offer these services. We also have a directory that we can list you in. We have these requirements just to sort of make sure you cover all your bases before we list you on there. If you want to be on our directory, please let me know. We actually, for a while there, we were having quite a lot of Arkansans get on there and find attorneys. Sorry, someone just said they had an exponential flooding amount of clients trying to get them to review their AI documents. Okay. Um, so you can get on our directory. We have quite a few people who access that. If you list your pay, oh, why did I put that there? I think I put that there so I would forget. A lot of people do it at a flat rate or by hour, depending on the job, which leads me to um, this helps you bring in more clients if it's a flat rate. I had more luck with giving flat rates, just because they knew, okay, well, I can afford that, or I can take a month to save up for that, and then I will have that legal problem that I have covered. If it was by hour for me, it was normally document review, and I first estimated how long it took me to read a contract, just one page, and then I just sort of estimated, well, okay, it's going to take me X amount of time to do one page of a contract, so then one page is this amount of money, so per page it costs this much. I did a lot of that as well, mostly for artists, filmmakers, people more in the creative realm. They need a lot of people reviewing documents or contracts. And a lot of returning clients as well. So if you fully represent someone, a lot of the time they will come back and use you just for limited scope. Um, and then I had quite a few limited scope clients consistently come back, which I understand they don't want to go out and find another attorney, who offers this that they can afford. They liked me, they knew how I worked, so they would come back and have me help out with other things. A lot of that was mostly with contract and document review. Okay, so let's dig into it. The ethical framework, we're going to go into the rules here a bit. So these are the three, four rules that I'm going to be covering for this in the Arkansas Rules of Professional Conduct. So, Rule 1.2, it permits limited scope if it's reasonable under the circumstances and there's informed consent. Okay, well, what does that mean exactly? So, is it reasonable under the circumstances? So, you need to consider the client, their education, and their capacity. Are they able to understand, sort of like when you're doing a will, do they have the capacity to sign this? Do they have the capacity to do all of this legal work on their own? Do they understand? Do they have the reading comprehension, etc.? I did have one client who had very, very limited reading comprehension, and that, I mean, it was a lot of hand holding. I had to, help him read the documents, sit there and read them with him. But I mean, that's something to take into consideration. Also consider the matter at hand, your knowledge. Are you comfortable with helping with the situation? If you had to, you're not going to, but if it were from beginning to end, would you know all the little pitfalls, what to look out for? Because you will need to alert that client of what to expect. Is the issue too complicated for uh, unbundling? Sound like, that example I gave with Sally, that in my mind, I should have said was for an uncontested, just simple divorce, no kids, uncontested. But let's say it was contested and there were kids, like it was very contested. That would most very likely be too complicated to unbundle. Okay, and then informed consent. So you must get this in writing. Um, Best practice is not only put the agreement in writing, but also have the client sign it. The exception is if it were a telephone consultation, a legal aid clinic, or appointed by the court. Still doesn't hurt to get it, even if it's by email. And I will say, even legal aid at their clinic, they still have whoever comes into the clinic for help sign a document um, acknowledging that it is for limited scope. The reason and nonprofit legal service programs as well. The reason we have this, it creates a layer of protection for you, so you're not roped into representing beyond what you agreed to do. And we have sample fee agreements up on our website here. This one was the only one pager. These have multiple pages. Let me see here. So if you click on it, is it going to work? Oh my goodness, it worked. Sometimes I love technology. Okay, so this one goes really into the details. I would recommend making it very plain language, simplified for the person, just based on my experience. Uh, because, limited reading comprehension. But we have these different ones that you can go through. We also have them as Word documents, so you can go in and change what you will. We try to make it as simple as possible. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to go more into this, but I just wanted you to see. So here they are on our website, but you have a PDF Word for you right there. Okay. And if I have time at the end, I'll go through some more. Okay. Rule 4.2 and 4.3, attorney communication. So for all intents and purposes, limited scope representation client is pro se unrepresented litigant, unless you give opposing counsel written notice that you're providing this limited representation. Mm. So this would be for a limited appearance in court for a hearing. Like you go to one hearing. So if you notify opposing counsel, they should not communicate with your client regarding any matter laid out in the notice that you gave them. But if it's not in the notice of what you're helping with limited scope, then they can communicate directly with that client. Same goes for you. Let's say you're representing somebody fully, and the other side is limited scope, and their attorney sends you a notice, hey, I'm going to be at this hearing, this is what I'm helping them with. um, then you only communicate with that lawyer regarding those issues that was laid out in the notice. And I'll get into that here with the court appearances with civil procedure rule. And don't forget that the other rules still apply. So I included this as well, the competence. Are you familiar with this subject? Would you feel comfortable handling the issue from start to finish? Like I said, so you can point out issues that might come up along the way. Limited scope does not mean limited competence. And I know a lot of lawyers now use form templates. I had made my own when I was doing this, but I know like Clio, I think LexisNexis maybe even now offers software that will help you with these forms. But just remember, not every client is the same. So, ask questions, spot potential issues, tailor it to that potential client. You're charging them for your time. Make sure you put all that time into the work. And also, it's good to do this so you can tell if there's a different legal path that might be better for this client. Because sometimes they think they need, say, a guardianship when they really need a power of attorney. Okay, the procedural framework. So we'll go over mostly just Rule 87. That's the really important one here. This covers, okay, let me go back. Document drafting, court appearance, and termination, withdrawing from a court appearance. So this is just document drafting. You must include disclosure at the bottom of the document, which I'll show you next what that looks like. So, and you can rely on the client's representation of facts unless you have reason to believe it is false. So we're talking about a disclosure. What does that look like? Don't forget to include this if you draft their legal document. So this, at the rule, let me go back. And don't freak out if you don't remember this because it's in the rule right here. I'm not going to highlight it because it'll skip forward. But this is what you put, and it says at the end of the prepared document. It doesn't specify exactly where, so we always recommend putting it after the client's signature. And usually between that and the verification page is where we'll put it. I always put it right after where they would sign it. And then you just put that. You don't have to put your bar number, surprisingly. It's just that sentence, your name. And that is it. And this is for document drafting. Don't forget to do that. Okay, so Rule 87 for court appearances. You must file and serve notice of limited scope representation if you are appearing in court. This is just for appearing in court. It doesn't apply if you're only preparing documents, giving advice for the limited scope client. We do have sample notices. Let me see. Okay. I didn't put them on there next. Let me, okay, there. Okay. I'll show you those in a second. But we have one for general cases and then one for family law. Um, I'll get you a comment here in a second, Barbara. And let me see. Here is the rule. And then you're wondering, okay, will you file this? Well, how am I getting out of the case once I've done my part? So you must file notice of completion with certificate of service on the client to terminate representation. You don't need the judge's signature. So what does that look like? We have samples on our website. This is the civil one, the family law, and the notice of completion. It's just basically a form you fill out. Oh my goodness, excuse me. I'm so sorry. As you can see, very straightforward. Let me see. And then there's notice of completion. Oh, what just happened there? There we go. Again, super simple. Okay. Uh, an attorney here mentioned, she said, if you file under your own name under limited scope. Oh, this is a question, Barbara. Barbara, I'm not sure. I asked a few people about this. Maybe somebody on here will know. If it's not in the rules, if you file under your own name under limited scope, do you have to add the disclaimer since you're e-filing under your bar number? Yeah, if you prepare the document, yes. Unless you mean for the hold on, let me get this back up. Unless you mean the notice. That the document, yes. If it's a notice, if you're e-filing it, I did research that for you, and I still never did get a complete answer for you, Barbara. So I'll have to see. Has anybody ever filed on their own eFlex account for a pro se litigant? Let's say you did their complaint for divorce, you just drafted it. Has anybody ever filed it for them online with e-filing? I never did. I always sent them to the courthouse. I'm just curious to see if anybody has and what you've done. Okay, while y'all are thinking and writing, I'm going to continue. So let's get into more of setting up the limited scope representation for yourself. Um, just some pointers. Man, I talked really fast. Just some pointers, if you're considering this. Don't forget to screen the client. Do they have the capacity to handle this on their own? Is this too complex of an issue to do limited scope? Is it, what is the urgency? They call you, I need you to be at my hearing tomorrow. Um, can you be there tomorrow for this person on a case that you have no clue about? And what are their motives? That's a very good one to note because I have had at least one weird situation with this. I had someone come in with a homeless individual, and he wanted to get power of attorney over all of his stuff so he could help him with his bank account and everything because he got disability. Um, And they weren't related. It was just somebody he met. It was really weird. It was icky. And, that was one that I was just kind of like, I'm not sure about your motives here. I'm not going to help with this. Um, and it was an interesting situation. And then you see a lot of people also trying to take advantage of elderly. Um, that was one case where I didn't do it. Somebody else helped these people get ownership of this woman's home. And so we had to help her untangle that and get her home back. And don't forget to conduct conflict checks as well. The fee agreement, always do a fee agreement. Make sure it's clear and plain language. You want to make sure they understand what they're signing and specify who does what. Like, be specific. You're going to do the document or you're going to review this document. They're going to go file. They're going to go to the court by themselves. They're going to go to the hearing by themselves. And also would help to put, I only had this issue once. It also helps to specify like how available you are to them. I had, one who would call about every day. Just make it clear like I'm only helping you with these documents and I'm giving you these information sheets on the steps you need to do and all of that. And that is it. It is just this little bundled thing for you. Um, Not to say if they call you once afterwards, like, hey, something's weird, I don't understand. Obviously, that's going to happen, but um, it helps to put those boundaries so you're not getting a phone call every day. Let's see here. Also specify in there the flat fee, or if it's hourly, how much it'll cost. Um, if you're doing payment plan with that, put that in there as well. Put everything in there. And with managing the client, set expectations at intake. Definitely do that. Do not oversell, do not undersell, let them know what they're getting into, what it is that you're offering. A lot of the times when I did divorce cases, I would, ask them all the standard questions to see where they were. And then if I could tell that they could do it on their own, simple divorce, everybody's on the same page, there's no kids, um, I would give them, two offers. You can have me fully represent, do everything for you, or you can represent yourself and I can help you with the document prep and give you instructions. It's a lot cheaper, but like you're gonna have to go to the hearing on your own. You're gonna have to go file these on your own. A lot of people are fine with that. Some people get scared at that idea. So just letting them know what they will be doing, you know, like they'll have to go to the court by themselves at the hearing, file everything, etc. Also helps to have communication checkpoints as well. I have a little checklist here I'll get to that kind of explains that. And don't forget to provide advice and next step guides. Um, this will save you a lot of time. I had some that were sort of my own that I had created. You can also get, we do have some on AR Law Help. Do I have them on here? Oh my goodness. Let me show you real quick. So this is what I mean with those. There's next step guide examples on AR Law Help. This is just sort of explaining what grounds are, how to serve, um, afterwards, if you have kids, etc., and then how to fill in the forms. Of course, this is them doing it on their own. I probably should have left that one out. And the process, notarizing, filing. This will save you a lot of time in the end. I know it seems like a lot of rhetoric, but it will save you a lot of time. because this is their guide for when they leave your office. I ended up, when I did this, I sort of used this as my own guide when creating my own for the office and ended up making essentially my own little guides to give limited scope clients. And creating a checklist is super, super helpful. I usually put that on the front, like, okay, I know this is a lot of information, but here is what you need to do. Did you do this? Did you do that? Okay, well, check it once you do it, and then go to the next one. That helps a lot, just sort of giving them a path. Um, and make sure it's, like I said again, very plain, simple language. A lot of people, the reading level in Arkansas is pretty low, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let me go back. I got off track. Okay, so again, here are the sample fee agreements. This is just the task checklist I mentioned. This helps. A lot of the time, you probably will have a client that you don't need to really do this with, but it doesn't hurt to have this just to show you're doing, each of you are doing what you agreed to do and that you're on track. So, I agreed to do the divorce papers. I'll say I'll finish it by this date. All right. File and serve papers, well, that's going to be the client, put those on there, each little step. This just sort of makes things very, very clear for the client. And to clarify, I never had any issues before with the client thinking, well, you're supposed to do all this, why aren't you doing that? I never had anybody argue with me on things like this. So we always had an understanding of what I would do, what they would do. And sometimes I had one at least that she did want limited scope. She understood all of that. And then she went off and tried to do the filing and everything on her own, got overwhelmed with it, and came back and was like, okay, can you just do the whole thing for me? Because I don't want to do this. So you might have a situation like that. Again, these are on our website right here. And then again, these next step guide examples. I mean, you could go and get these off of the AR Law Help website and take them and make them your own, make them better. If you do, send them to me so I can update some of our stuff on here. Sharing is caring. Um, you know, let's help each other out. Again, checklist, super, super helpful. So it also is super helpful to have if you find yourself doing certain ones, like I did a lot of divorce unbundling and a lot of document review. So I had, a lot of checklists for that I would use a lot for the divorce stuff, and then checklists and info guides for document contract review people. Instead of having to reinvent the wheel every time, just have it there. And then I would highlight, sections that would most likely need to be changed. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting with that. I use a lot of post-it notes too. Post-it notes are very handy when you give them the documents back. Okay, so best practices. You want to put everything in writing, uh, of course. We're attorneys. Use detailed fee agreements that specify exactly what you will and won't do. Have clients initial each section to ensure understanding. Manage expectations from the start, as I said, be crystal clear. Many attorneys provide a written summary of next steps the client will need to handle. Set boundaries. It doesn't mean unlimited availability. Specify how and when clients can contact you, like email only, or you'll respond within 48 hours. Document everything. I think I have quite emphasized this quite a bit. What the client will handle themselves. And know when to say no. A case might be too complex or the client can't realistically handle their portion. Maybe don't offer the limited scope representation for them to them. Um, they most likely might need full representation, or a referral may be more appropriate. And if you've never done this before, you could start small. Consider offering one or two specific unbundled services at first before expanding your offerings. So document review is a big one. I always had a lot of that, and divorces. Of course, I had a lot of those come in um, when we got that stimulus check around the pandemic. So everybody wanted to get divorced, and so they used their stimulus check to get because that's what it helped cover it. So those were the two big ones that I saw. I'm not sure if anyone on here handles anything outside of that. I've never done a limited scope hearing. I was going to ask if Barbara maybe would like to speak on that. I saw she was on here. Um, I try to find some attorneys who would come on and talk about the areas that I'm not familiar with, but you guys are too shy. Um, so I can't really speak too much on the hearings, the limited scope hearing process. Resources that we offer is on our unbundling resource page, and the sample forms are on there. Training is on there. We have the directory and toolkits. If you would like to join our directory, we require you do CLE completion. There's an older CLE on there that our former director did. Normally we ask that you watch that, but if you were part of this CLE today, that will cover. Um, Probably wouldn't hurt to watch his. He covers advertising as well, but I didn't cover that because that applies to all attorneys, not just doing limited scope. Um, Sorry, I'll have to look at these questions in a second. Let's see. And then you sign an agreement with us, and then you give us proof of malpractice insurance. And then you will get listed on our, let me show you guys. Okay, so let me just show you this. And then if you want to join, there's a form you fill out. And then here are the rules I addressed. These take you directly to the rules if you want to read more in depth on those. Barbara, from my understanding, yes, I know it doesn't make sense, but it does say if you do document drafting, you put the disclaimer on there. Here's the training and education. Here's the one with Jordan. He does a good job. You can watch that for free. Here's the fee agreements right here. Like I said, we have the Word docs and the PDFs. We try to make it as simple as possible for you to, make it your own. And then here are the limited scope representation notices and the notice of completion for when you withdraw. This is for, court hearing, for example. Management tools, there's the checklist I showed you where you sort of put like who does what and what the deadline is. And then we have these toolkits, which we wrote this one. This essentially covers everything I just went over, but more. It goes way more in depth, and it has the forms in there as well. It helps explain more of the rule. It's a really great resource, and you can find it here. And then the American Bar Association, I found this one online. They have their own handbook. Like they did a bunch of research and interviewed a bunch of attorneys who did this, and they created this handbook. It's really great. It is a lot of pages. It's 155 pages, but it's very interesting to me. So, it's just sort of like attorney advice, breaks things down a bit more. It's pretty great. And then let me show you real quick our Arkansas one that we did. It explains the rules. And then we have the forms are in here too. So it's all here if you wanted to print that out, for instance, and have that on hand. And then I was going to show you the. Okay, so if you forget this link and you lose this PowerPoint, yes, I'll give you the PowerPoint in that email um, with your attendance sheet. You go to our website. I'm just going to show it like you just got on our. Okay. Programs, unbundled. Now, this is more public facing. This just explains what it is. You go down, right? Resources for attorneys. Now, I'm going to open this in a new page. Seeing it takes us to where I was just at. The directory looks like this. And then you get listed with, you send us your logo, and we'll put you on there. You just got to fill out this form and let me know, and we'll put you up there. And we do get quite a few people using that. And it doesn't hurt to also put on your website. I'm trying to find my PowerPoint. Doesn't hurt to put on your website that you offer these services. Like, I'll review your document, your contract for, I don't know. I'm trying to remember what I had. Of course, I'm sure it's gone up now. Let's say $100, $200 an hour, which includes however long it takes you an hour to review a contract, X amount of pages. If there's more pages, um, we'll have to discuss what the price could be, or $100 for every X amount of pages for a contract review. Because a lot of people don't know. I've noticed a more of a trend where some have become aware of it. Arkansans out there looking for legal help. I know a lot of people are scared to contact an attorney or don't trust attorneys, um, because they can't, they're thinking, oh, this is going to cost thousands of dollars. There's no way. Um, but some people don't realize that they can do this sort of a la carte uh, representation, which would be a lot cheaper. And like I said, a lot of medium income folks were the ones who were mostly using this service. And towards the end of when I was practicing, I started getting more people calling in, fishing around, trying to find the best deal, if you will, around town. And they started to know more about what this unbundling was. But still, a lot of people aren't that familiar with it if they call you off the bat asking, like, oh, how much does a divorce cost? Um, so people are more willing, of course, to pay for a little bit less, obviously. Let me see here. Okay, Barbara, let me see if I can get you, because what you do is really great. Let me see if I can give me 1 second. Hold, please. How do Barbara, I don't know if I'm going to be able to let you talk. I love technology, but sometimes technology does not love me. Okay. Oh, wait. No, I'd have to invite you, I think. Okay, Barbara, I'm sorry. I was going to let you come on and chat a bit. Um, okay, let me see what the questions we got here. Small claims court. Attorneys. That's a good question, Shelley. I'm not sure with small claims. I'll have to ask. Let me see. I have a contact over at Legal Aid. They do a lot of, limited scope. I'll see what they do with the small claims. Um, She says they won't let attorneys in. What should I do to help clients represent themselves without throwing it to circuit court? Would you normally see this more with emergency hearings, such as protection orders, from my experience with it in the past before going to the federal government? Yes, Barbara does a lot of orders of protection. If I could get her on here to talk, that would be great. Yes, these slides would be shared. Okay, let me see. One second. Walter said I could make her a panelist. Let me see. Allowed to talk. Okay. Barbara, do you want to talk? I can allow you to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you want me just to explain what we do?
Yeah. Yeah, and how you do limited scope.
So we have created a statewide online order protection portal. And basically, it prepares all the documents anyone needs in the state to file an order of protection petition. So technically, I'm not preparing them. So, I mean, technically, that rule I don't think applies to me because I'm not drafting them. It's an online tool that we've created to help people file orders of protection petitions. But in Pulaski County, we also have a program where I have contract attorneys that actually represent clients at the hearings. So they're being paid by my nonprofit, the coalition. So technically, I guess they're not limited scope. And orders of protections are a little bit of different animal because you're done pretty quick with them. I mean, your hearing gets set within 30 days, and then after the hearing, you're done with the case. The case is closed. The thing we run into is the e-filing. We're wanting to e-file for people. And so what we've done is I can e-file the petitions that were created by the portal. I'm 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 filing a notice of limited scope representation so that the courts don't expect me to show up and represent people in court. That's just I'm not sure I'm required to do that under Rule 87. And Megan and I've talked about this because if you're just e-filing, I don't know. The rules just are kind of silent on it, and I can't find anything on it. Um, I do think that Rule 887 does have the line under subsection C's is let's see, an attorney may draft or help to draft a plea or motion or other person filed by an otherwise self-represented person. Well, since that self-represented person isn't filing, I'm e-filing. I'm not sure that the disclaimer is required, but I can't find any law on it. I can't find any information on that. And there's no rule on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think essentially what I had said was I guess go ahead and do it, cover your bases just in case. Because I've asked a few judges and no one has an answer, Barbara.
I know. I mean, I will tell you this. I'm not drafting or helping draft pleadings or motions, so that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable not putting it on there because the
Yeah.
portal is doing that.
Yeah.
It's just everything. There's nothing about e-filing really in the rules. We might need to update them at some point because now the state's all e-filing. So,
hmm Yeah, and it
um,
would be great if just regular person pro se on their own could e-file as well.
they can, except they have to pay $100 one-time fee to get an eFlex account, and that's what makes it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah. Okay. Would anybody else who is on here like to speak about their experience with limited scope? Now, Barbara, you said so the people, how do you pair people up for the hearing to go to the,
So, yeah, so our program kind of works, I would say, kind of like a docket call in criminal court because domestic violence is so volatile. It's very, very dangerous to contact someone prior to the hearing because you don't know who has the phone or who has the email. You could actually put someone in pretty big danger in lethality risks skyrocket if you reach out because you don't know who you're getting, right?
Hmm.
So what we do is the courts send us their dockets ahead of time, a week ahead of time, and we prep the dockets with all the documentation that's been filed. So we're really aware of everything in the case and what has been put in the petition or any exhibits that have been e-filed. And then we get to court early. The courts that we're in, which is fourth division, fifth division, and 15th division, we get there early and sit down and talk to all the clients on their dockets that have orders of protection beforehand. We first ask them if they want an attorney, obviously, and if they say yes. And then we get any additional information. If there's additional information and we need a continuance, we just simply ask the court for a continuance because we need more time, and the courts are really good about giving us one. If we don't need any more time and we can go forward, we just then go forward with the prep docket we have and the additional information we talk to the client to with
And do you
about.
have them sign a sort of acknowledgement that what you're only helping with?
We don't because the case is closed after that. I mean, you're
Okay.
done. So there's not, you know what I mean? There's nothing.
Mm,
Orders of protections. The reason why we're doing it in orders of protection is because they're very simple. I mean, they're within 30 days you get a hearing, and then after the hearing, the case is closed. I mean, it's closed.
yeah. Okay.
So it's at the end of that hearing, it's done. There's nothing else.
Okay. Let's see. Someone mentioned they do immigration and there's a specific form. Would you like to speak about your experience? I'm going to allow you to talk.
Um, yeah, not much to say. There's just a specific form that you file with the court, and then if it's going to USCIS, there's like a specific box you check on your appearance form to note exactly like what you're doing. And I just try to be really specific with like what I enter into that box. And just like always communicating it to the clients as well. Um, but yeah, thank you for your presentation. I felt like it really resonated with a lot of potential clients that I see, where with, some asylum seekers and whatnot, there often is limited education. And so making sure that they really understand what limited rep means, I think is really important. And so I appreciated your
Yeah.
training very much. Thank you.
Well, and I'm curious, what limited representation do you do with immigration?
Yeah, so what that could look like is if someone has identified that they want to file for asylum, you can, prepare that filing for them and let them know that this is like not for you to represent them in the hearing, but this is their asylum application. And then kind of give them next steps as to, hey, you need to go to your hearing on this date. If you don't go, this is what will happen. It's just kind of giving them kind of like parting advice. So that's pretty much, I think, the limited rep that I mostly do at my current firm. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. Okay. If anybody else would like to talk about their experience, I am more than happy to let you join on here. Let's see, let me find the time. 12:57. Okay, I guess I'll start to wrap things up. Um, Let me see here. Shelley, I will get back to you on your question there. Let me ask someone over at Legal Aid. And I'm trying to think anything else cover. Like I said, she talked about immigration, but I help sometimes with intellectual property. I'm just reviewing, uh, you know, what is that? Oh my God, I forgot the name. Where you give someone your copyright. I just reviewed again contract for that. Oh, so there's a lot of untapped offerings that you could give out there because there's not really anyone who does law for creatives, and a lot of that is just very transactional. So that's a avenue there that needs some help. Okay. Military veteran law is a good one too, someone said. Security clearance law, both are federal. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So I will be sending you, it'll probably take me about 30 minutes to get the form together, your attendance form, and I'll be sending it to you. It is virtual. Try to make it as easy as possible. Um, and then In that email, I'll also give you this presentation here as a PDF so you can click on the links. And we have an upcoming CLE in August, following up behind Barbara. It's for the Power Act. So the two CLEs will be covering domestic violence. I'll give more detail about that in the email as well. One's a panel. We have judges and attorneys on it. And then the other one will be given by Professor Levi at the Bowen Clinic. She's going to be talking about bias. It looks really interesting. It'll be in person and virtual. So if you're in Little Rock, come join us. We'll have some light refreshments. If you can't, we'll have it on Zoom. And let me think. I think that's about it. If you ever want to try your hand at doing limited scope, you could do a clinic with Legal Aid of Arkansas. You can get on their website and look at their calendar, reach out to them, and just volunteer at a clinic to see how it goes, if you like it, if that's for you. And you can go from there, really. We're always looking for volunteers. I'm sure Barbara would love to volunteer as well. But again, thank you guys, and be on the lookout for that email, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, see you guys later.